Welcome to Women Insurepreneurs, the podcast empowering female insurance agents to thrive in the industry. Join us as we dive into the world of insurance entrepreneurship, share success stories, and provide invaluable insights through the lens of female entrepreneurship. Let's unleash the power of women in insurance together. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Women Insurepreneurs. We have a special episode today with Mr. Troy Dotson, who is former military or retiring from the military, correct?
Retiring, yeah.
So this is a special episode today. Welcome again, Troy.
Welcome, Troy.
Thank you.
Yes. Would you start, please, briefly by just really quickly introducing yourself? So tell us about yourself and what you do.
My name is Troy Dotson. I started in the insurance space back in 2021. Actually started my own LLC. Figured at the time it was the best thing to do. Kind of been doing this off and on, just part-time, obviously, because I've been active duty military for a little bit over 20 years. So doing it part-time, gone around between a couple different IMOs, and kind of end up in Kansas right now. So base of my business right now is just in Kansas, here in a small town, but obviously married with kids. So we're going to be moving to New Mexico here shortly, since I'll be retiring. And then I'm just going to pretty much center my business in New Mexico and El Paso specifically, because we love it there. So, but yeah.
Nice. And you are in the life and retirement space, is that right?
Ma'am. Yeah, that's what I like to focus on, at least for now. So, yeah.
Nice. And who or what would you say inspired you to become an entrepreneur? I know we've had a conversation before that it's not likely for people who are former military or once they retire to go decide, I'm going to open up a business now.
Yeah. If there was any one thing, I would say it was the government that made me decide to want to be an entrepreneur, because just over the years of working for all of these different, I've had hundreds of supervisors and bosses, or, whatever you want to call them. But realizing that I don't want to work for anybody else anymore, after being in the military for over 20 years, that was literally it. I decided I wanted to be my own boss. I didn't want to have to listen to any one specific person. Especially anybody who's been in the military long enough to know sometimes you get some toxic leadership. So I just decided I didn't want to have to deal with that anymore. So I decided to start my own business.
Troy, I think that I can totally relate to that. Having several bosses, as it's pretty similar to corporate America, right? You have kids that just graduated college, and because they have a degree, they're your boss. Pretty much in the military, same thing, right? So I can totally relate to that. If anything will push you to entrepreneurship, it'll be that.
Yeah, that's very true.
And on that note, what would you say is the biggest lesson that either you've learned or maybe you currently are learning on that journey?
I would say something I learned, especially becoming, with obviously more rank in the military, and that I'm still learning, is prioritizing. Priorities change every single day. Priorities to the military have changed all the time. Priorities in life, priorities with my family. I would say that, I base most of my day off of that one thing, is just figuring out what the priority is, like we had talked about before, and prioritizing what I need to get done first, and then everything after that is just, a win.
Mm-hmm. So organizing your day.
All about organization.
Troy, can you elaborate a little bit on how you feel that the discipline that you either learned or used in the military, how does that translate to your business? How do you feel like maybe that has helped you?
I think it's really pretty simple. Being in the military is not hard. It's very, very simple. And I think it literally just, the discipline is just knowing that sometimes there's no other choice. You just have to do it. There's sometimes you like I said, you either do it or you don't. If you don't do it, sometimes it's not so, either the mission fails or you might get in trouble, different situations, different scenarios, but really discipline is just doing it when you know it needs to be done and not procrastinating. I'm the type of individual, and I'm sure it's from my military service, because, I started when I was 18, that I would rather just knock it out now, get it over with. And that way I don't have to worry about it later on. I'm not saying I don't procrastinate, but I think having the discipline has helped me not procrastinate so much on getting things done because, I'm just so used to just doing it right then and there because that's what you're supposed to do. And just having the discipline to know that, like, hey, this needs to get done. Let's just get it over with. But yeah, pretty much that's how I think about it.
Just jumping in and doing it. I like that answer.
Mm-hmm.
There was something that I learned, I think it was from Robert Dial's podcast, and he has like this countdown method. I think it was him or maybe a book, I don't remember, but he's like count 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3, however you want to do it, and just get up. Like that's he's like apply that to everything. Like I don't want to do dishes. That. I don't want to work out.
I try that, and especially when getting up.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. It's like just get up.
3, 2, 1, go. That's awesome. And aside from the discipline, which from what I'm hearing, you're relating the discipline to like, if I don't do this, there's going to be consequences. Like you said, in the military, you won't get the mission done. Yeah. Well, same with your business, right? If you don't do X, Y, Z, then you're not getting the mission done for your business. So I really like that.
Yeah.
What would you say keeps you motivated and or driven? Because I know motivation is fleeting, but what keeps you driven in your endeavor and your journey, that your goal that you're trying to accomplish?
Well, one thing is I want to have a successful business. I don't want just to have. I'm not okay with mediocre. Being mediocre. I know that's like a norm nowadays. I'm not cool with it. I'm not the super egotistical or combative type individual where I always have to be best, always have to be all of this stuff. But at the same time, like I'm not going to be at the bottom of the pit. I'm not going to be at the bottom of the barrel. So having a successful business is what drives me because every little step, whether it be one step for 365 days or 10 steps in a week, whatever it is I got to do to make sure I have a successful business. I mean, just this is my business. It is my name. It is my brand. So it will be successful. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, but yeah.
Love it. No option. No other option.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, Troy, what would you say is, or what are some of the biggest challenges or one of the biggest challenges that you feel like you've encountered on your journey, and how do you plan to overcome that challenge, or maybe how have you already overcome that challenge?
I think it's just really running your day-to-day operations and what you pick as priorities and how you strategize. Like a challenge for me was making calls, like cold calls. I'm not a fan. I'm not going to lie. I'll tell anybody, I don't like calling. It's just, I did it when I first started out because, that's what I was told to do. That's what I told the norm was to do. Thousands and thousands of calls. And it never got to where I got to a point where I was like, man, I like doing this because I don't. But the challenge, I think, is just figuring out what works for you, what works for your business, and how are you going to strategize and make sure that whatever works keeps working. I would say calls in the beginning, I was not too much of a fan of. They weren't really going that well, and I didn't enjoy doing it. There are people that do calls all the time, and they enjoy doing it. But it just really wasn't working too much for me. So then I kind of started turning to social media. So that was like my strategy is I just started going to social media and used organic marketing, to get leads versus, spending a bunch of money on leads and calling a bunch of people that, say they never filled out a lead form. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Would you feel this kind of actually leads into the next thing I wanted to ask you, but would you feel that you found success in doing that? Or if not, if you can share either an achievement or milestone that you are proud of?
I am my biggest critic. I don't think I've been anywhere successful whatsoever. I think even if I was successful as deemed by somebody else, in my mind, I would be like, this is not enough. What I will say that I do think brings success and it can work for anybody is showing that you care for one, because when people see that you care, they are naturally attracted to you. They're more wanting to talk to you. And then just reaching out to people. Like right now, my biggest thing is I reach out to business owners and veterans because, being a veteran, I can relate to them a little bit more than, your average person. But just being successful is just showing that you care and being there and putting in the work. I don't think I've reached a certain amount of success to really brag about or anything like that. I think starting my business was kind of a success in its own because there's nobody else in my family that owns a business, or at least that I know of. So that might have been the first success, but ever since then, it's just been kind of figuring out as I go. But even if I do reach one milestone or one level of success, it's not going to be enough. A second later, I'm just being like, hey, what's the next thing I got to do? What's the next level of success? So to me, it's never ending. It'll never stop. We'll just have to keep going.
And like I said last time, that is a very honest answer. So I can appreciate that, right? You didn't just pluck something out of the sky to come up with. But I agree with you,
Yeah.
deciding to open up the business because, like we said before, again, a lot of people retire from the military, and you said they go mow lawns or they just sit on the couch all day. So you obviously that's already in you to say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm actually striving to do more and taking that journey and sticking through it because it's really difficult.
Yeah, I think especially like if you've been your career military, a lot of career military members, they're like, I just want to chill. I've been on the grind for over 20 years. I don't want to do anything, much less go open a business, right? They don't want that independent struggle, I guess you could say, that they were so comfortable with the hierarchy that now they don't want to take the reins. They just want to relax, right? So it takes a lot to take it upon yourself that after all of those years, to go into the entrepreneur route. That's something that not a lot of veterans do.
I don't know. Relaxing to me has just never been a thing. So if I'm sitting down too long, I just get antsy and I don't want to do it, so I can't be lazy. And I don't know, maybe one day I'll relax, but it's not going to be anytime soon. So.
Yeah, I brought that up with one of my friends. I wish, because technically I'm a retired veteran myself. I'm 100% disabled. And I said, maybe I should just go live on a beach somewhere. I could just relax. And she told me, she's like, you couldn't. If you would go retire and live on a beach somewhere, you wouldn't be able to relax because you love the grind. You love you have that entrepreneurial drive in you that won't let you relax. So I think that I can totally relate with that. Totally get it.
It's funny on that note, something that I was going to ask you was work-life balance, right? Because you do have a family. So how do you kind of juggle that without feeling like someone's being neglected, whether it's the kids, the wife, the business? Again, any tips that you would share with the audience?
So I didn't do this in the beginning, sticking to my Google Calendar. I didn't prioritize like my schedule before. It was kind of just like, hey, whatever's next, let's just do it. And I went from there. Google Calendar. And on my calendar is a time, like specific time, and it doesn't have to be on the calendar, it's inherent, with my wife, which is on Saturdays. So like every Saturday, it is a priority that on a Saturday it's our time, and anything else after that or before that, that's fine to stick it in there. But like we always go eat on a Saturday. We go out one day a week to go eat, budget reasons, and just because I don't like eating a bunch of junk food or anything like that. So we always go out to eat on a Saturday, and usually like once every 2 weeks or something like that, we'll try to go to an event or something like that. But yeah, it's literally just setting aside that time and not wavering it. I mean, if an emergency happens, it's going to happen at some point, but we always say on this day at this time, we are going to go do this. But you just got to prioritize like family time. Obviously grinding, like you're talking about, it can suck at times because you could be up at 5 a.m. going to the gym and you might not get done till 7 or 8 at night o'clock, 7 or 8 at night, dealing with and talking to people and clients and networking and so on. But even if you have to spend just an hour or 30 minutes, with family in between that time to make sure that, you're not neglecting anybody else. But yeah, it's just setting aside that specific time and put it in your calendar or put it on the wall. So that way you see it and you're constantly reminded, hey, on this time and this date, I'm going to go do this with my family and, and so on. So.
Yeah. I stick by my Google Calendar too. There was something that you mentioned before. I know you said your kids are grown now, but when they were little, what was your plan of attack to kind of get things done when they were little? Because I think we're going to have a lot of ladies that will like that answer.
Yeah. At one point I had three little kids around going crazy, but but yeah, so if anybody who's had kids, even just one kid, it's very hard to tackle one single task, even if it's just one kid, more or less three. Um, I have a friend that has 6 kids. I don't know how they do it, but they do. But it's literally just trying to, and this is a hard thing to do, is set aside bedtime, right? And saying, hey, this is your bedtime. This is the time we're going to go to bed, read a story, do bath time, whatever the case is. And starting at this time, so say bedtime's at 8 o'clock. Well, kids don't ever go to bed right on time, obviously. So say
Never.
9 o'clock, give it a whole hour extra and say, hey, at 9 o'clock, this is my time to get my work done and to get my business done and so on and so forth. That's the route I had to take for a long time. I'm also an early person, an early riser. And a lot of kids love to sleep in. So I would do whatever work I could possibly get done, and that include going to the gym or going for a run, as early as possible. I'd get up at 4 o'clock, go run, be done by 6, eat breakfast, have it all ready, and the kids get up at 8, and I could, knock out at least an hour of work before then. But yeah, it's just you just have to set aside that time while they're asleep. Essentially, is the best time I think you can do it. Obviously, it's never perfect, but that's the method I had to use. I just had to wait till after bedtime and then start working. Your sleep schedule is going to suffer, but I mean, hey, you're a parent, it happens. So
Yeah. I had my 3 when they were little too. Obviously, they're adults, and I'm a grandma now. But I remember all 3 of them being that age, right? They were all
yeah,
a year and 2 years apart, and they never need anything from mom until you're either in a meeting or on the
hmm
phone, right? So it's
yeah,
like setting aside that time when they're not up and about, or giving yourself that time when that block of time. So yeah,
yeah,
I think that's very important when you have little ones.
yeah. I mean, I've done work at nighttime, because I had my youngest, my daughter. She would be sleeping on the couch right next to me, which she'd pass out next to me because she wanted a daddy or whatever the case is. So I would just be working on my computer with her passed out right next to me, and then it is what it is. So sometimes you just have to do it.
Yeah. Like you said, get it done, right? I don't
hmm
have kids yet, but we had my niece for 2 weeks. She was like 5 at the time, and we had a business center in the building that I lived in. So I knew I had to go down and make some calls. So I gave her some things to do. And I'm like, you do this. And I had a headset. I'm like, if you see me talking, don't bother me,
Yeah.
please, until I'm done. And like you said, Sonia, yeah, sure. Great. And
Of
the minute
course,
I'm on the
easier
phone, she's
said
like,
than done.
I
Yep.
was like,
It's an emergency. I have to talk to you now.
I
Yep.
was like, I'm gonna kill you, kid. So I could totally see that. I have you mentioned you're an early riser. I think Sonia is as well. Is that right, Sonia? You
Yes. I like to
okay?
get, my self-care, like working out, all that stuff. I like to get it done early in the morning because it just pretty much launches you into your day.
So for early riser people or people that are wanting to be like myself, what are some tips that you recommend? Like, do you guys go to bed really early or do you just learn how to function and run on little to no sleep?
I would say for myself, I've learned to function with little to no sleep because if you were in the if you were in the military as long as I have been, 4 hours was the standard. As long as you got 4 hours, you're good to go, supposedly, right? Or you would pull a 24-hour shift and you're supposed to be off for another 24 hours, but that doesn't always happen. Um, I think one time in Iraq, I pulled 3 days straight after doing a 24-hour shift and then had to go on missions. Um, and, when you get stuck somewhere, you're just stuck somewhere. But I remember staying up for like 3 days straight, and it was horrible.
Wow.
I don't want to miss out on sleep, but I would say, yeah, in the morning, um, definitely like to go. I'm getting back into it. I'm not gonna. I'm saying I got a little bit lazy, as far as because of the PT, because I got all these issues, physical issues and stuff like that. But now I have sleep issues. But the best thing, and what I find the most beneficial is, yes, just like she said, start early in the morning. I prefer to get up by 4, no later than 5. To me, sleeping in is like 6 o'clock, which hardly never ever happens. Um, but when you have that most energy, knock it out. That's why you go work out in the morning, right? You have all that energy as soon as you wake up, down some coffee, or that's what I do, and then go work out. And then before you don't ever let yourself just get lazy afterwards. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, unless you go run a marathon at 6 o'clock in the morning or something like that, like come back, eat, shower, whatever, and then just get straight into work. That's what I like to do. Because if you go sit down or if you go get lazy, next thing you know, it's 9, 10 o'clock, almost lunchtime, and you've neglected doing all these other things. So I always make sure, try to get up early as you can, get your workout in. The night before, I guess I should start with that, is I'll prioritize what I need to do for the next day. And I'll always make sure my Google Calendar is updated. I go through my emails, make sure, because, it's supposed to automatically, whenever you get an email, you say yes, and, it's supposed to be on your Google Calendar. So I'll just make sure that everything's on my calendar for the next morning. That way I know what my priorities are, and I can kind of tailor my workouts, because if I have training at 8, right, like I'm not going to work out from 7 to 8. I'm going to work out from 6 to 7, give me that little bit of time. But yeah, do everything in the morning when you have the most energy. That's what I think. That's what I find best. So.
And
Yeah,
are
Troy,
you going to bed early?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I was just, do you go to bed early then too?
I try, yeah. But I have developed sleep issues in the Army. So I can't always guarantee I will. But I typically, I like to go to bed by 8 or 9 at the latest. But like I said, that doesn't always happen. It just depends on how my brain's working that night. So if I have a lot of stuff on my mind, like if I have the big schedule the next day, my mind's more worried about, the next day and trying to figure it out versus trying to go to sleep. So sometimes it doesn't happen that well.
Right. So again, just going back, sorry, I was just going to say, going back. Okay. So going back to the discipline, once your alarm goes off, you're getting up anyways, what I'm gathering, regardless of how many hours you felt you slept.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the military teaches you that too, right? We don't care if you got any sleep. You're going to get up at this time, and that's the time you're going to get up.
Yeah.
And Troy, I could totally relate. I think Iraq is where I learned the trick, and a lot of people find this disgusting, but if you put the ground coffee under your tongue, that'll keep you up. That keeps you up. You need to instantly wake up. Just put that ground coffee under your tongue. Don't even bother. You know how people straight shoot their pre-workout? Try doing that with coffee. Like ground coffee, not ground coffee, but instant coffee. Put that under your tongue, you'll be up. You'll be up.
I just throw it in, get a canteen full of water, just leave it in there for a little bit, swish it around, and then be good to go.
Let's go.
Not really. Yeah. It was such bad decisions, but hey, at the time it was the best thing to do. So
it gets you awake.
Yeah.
Might have to try that. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Get you a strong espresso.
Yeah.
It's just you get a strong espresso. It's just like that. If you're not used to drinking espresso, which a lot of people aren't, they think espresso is this, sugary, great tasting drink that they get at Starbucks, but it's not. An actual espresso is just extremely strong coffee. Yeah. That's why they come in the really small, the really small cups, because it's really concentrated coffee. So it's just like that.
Shifting kind of to mentorship and support. And I know we have a similar story here, but do you feel like you've had any mentors or sources of support or people that you look up to that have been instrumental in your insurance journey?
Chip, I've never really been one to have mentors per se. There's people that I want to not be like, but, kind of be as successful as, or kind of, go on a journey like they did. But like we had talked about before, starting out, the only people I knew in the industry was the Life Insurance Academy podcast, because that's where I started at, found it. I love podcasts. And then Cody Askins, like Roger Short and Cody Askins pretty much were the names that I constantly heard, constantly listened to their podcast, learned so much from them. Like I said, not endorsed, but Life Insurance Academy podcast and Cody Askins podcast is obviously there's great ones out there, but that's really all you need is if you're starting out in the business. But that was literally it. Those, I guess my mentors were them starting out, and then started talking to Chris Ball a little bit. Right now I have Michael Bond because I work under Michael Bond. So if anybody would be my mentor, really, I would just say him. But yeah, pretty much.
And Sonia and I, like I told you last time, Troy, we're all about the Life Insurance Academy podcast. That's where my journey started as well.
Yes, that's what really got me into
every episode, if not once or twice. So
yeah. That's actually what I watch. When I'm on my treadmill, I have a screen in front of it,
Hmm.
and I hardly ever listen to music. It's always a podcast
Yeah.
or the new episode of the Life Insurance Academy. So same, yeah.
Was
And
listening
we're
to
not
Cody
sponsored
Askins'
by
new
them.
episode this morning. Yeah, we're not sponsored. I was
We're
listening
not
to Cody
sponsoring.
Askins' episode this morning, and then I was like, dang, I need to listen to the new Life Insurance Academy because what, every Wednesday a new episode comes
Yeah,
out, I think. And
yeah.
and I was like, dang, I need to listen to this, but then I got sidetracked doing calls and meetings. So no, yeah, tomorrow morning I'll definitely be listening to it when I work out.
And referring to your business, you did mention that you call a lot of business owners and
Mhm.
vets. So how do you envision your business making a positive impact on either your clients, community, or even the industry as a whole?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes down to niche to assist veterans, and obviously because I am one, so I can kind of relate a little bit more. But a lot of veterans have like this complete misconception of what life insurance is. All they hear is SGLI, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're good." Well, a lot of people I don't know if they didn't pay attention, but that doesn't exist anymore after you get out. I think it's like up to a year, and then you have to convert it, right, to either
Yes,
VGLI or get your own
yeah.
policy. Um, I never recommend VGLI, by the way. But yeah, I think it just comes down to that. I like to have that positive impact on veterans, um, because they're just not educated. It's just like finances in general. Like in schools, in the school systems, you're not really educated on anything financial. The only thing I knew going to school in Texas was accounting, and that sucked. Nobody wanted to take accounting. Um, but it's educating. I want to educate veterans. That's why I use my own Facebook group. I'm in a multitude of veterans groups, but I want to make an impact and educate. That's literally what it is. I just want to educate people on, hey, this is what life insurance really is, and this is what it really does. No matter what you ever been lied to about, or whatever the case, this is how it can benefit you and your family, and then and retirement options too, not just life insurance in itself. Um, but at some point, while we go to New Mexico, I want to have a huge impact on the community and be able to do those things that I just can't do as just a person itself. Whether it be sponsoring events, like I already started talking to people in Las Cruces about having some speaking events, having some motivation events. Was more of an avid runner. So like whenever I do the Baton Death March next year, because that's one of my goals, is having say, hey, because it's going to be full of veterans, it's going to be full of people, and either help sponsor it or help sponsor athletes that are going to it, because there's a lot of influential people that go to the Baton Death March, since it came back after COVID. But yeah, I want not necessarily to be known, but I want people to know that, like, hey, there is somebody in your community that cares and wants to make things better for you, um, whether that be having events or whatever the case is, and making a positive influence on different communities, like say the veteran community. So
Awesome. One second. And can you, for the audience, for the people, well, for both the audience, like you said, that are vets that are going to be tuning in, this is coming out in May,
mhm.
and for the agent who gets this rebuttal a lot, how would you answer the person that says, I'm all covered in the military, I'm good, I don't need this?
All temporary. It's just group insurance. That's all it is. It's not the army's life insurance. It goes through a carrier. I can't remember who it is now. I know they changed it, I think a couple years back. But it's just another insurance carrier. That's all it is. And it's just group insurance. So that means it's term, which means it's not permanent. Um, it doesn't carry any cash value to it whatsoever at all either. So I have known people that have passed away, and this was years ago. It hasn't been any time recently, but their family didn't get any of the life insurance from the SGLI. I don't know why. I don't know the specifics of it. It wasn't my business. And back then, I wasn't obviously in the insurance space anyway, so I wasn't thinking about it. Um, but people have to realize that it's not your insurance. You're a rider. You're considered a rider on this big, huge group insurance. It's not yours. So when you get out, it goes away. And not to mention, like I said, it's nothing you can use later on. You can't use it for cash value. So it's not going to help you later on, either getting a participating loan or helping pay down debt or anything like that. So like for myself and my wife, we have IULs because, I know how to write them properly. So, we got IULs because we wanted to, obviously it's a life insurance product first, but after that, you can use the cash value from it to help fund you during retirement, tax free. So that's what we're doing. That's not our retirement plan, but that's just part of our one little part of our plan for when it comes to retirement. So my rebuttal is it's not your insurance to begin with, and it's really that plain and simple. It's technically the government's insurance, and you're just a rider, so it's not permanent. You're gonna have to get insurance later on, anyways. So might as well just get it now while it's cheaper, and you can start generating cash value. That's. I mean, I can give them a whole spiel if I need to.
Yeah, just like an employer's policy, right? That you get for
Yeah.
free when you're working for them. It goes away. And then for people that are in the service for over 20 years or more, or it's just the same as when you're employed with someone. Once you leave or you retire, you don't have any more coverage, and
Yeah.
people don't understand that.
Also super cheap, and as they say, you get what you pay for. So
Yeah, that's kind of trash for the veterans, but that's another episode, right?
Yeah.
So answer it as if guys, it's employer insurance. That really does help because I mentioned this last time, but I have an appointment setter, and when I develop a script with her, I want her to fully understand the rebuttal, and I want us to come across as educational. We had this conversation before where our sales approach is more educational. So I never understood fully what the military benefits were with respect to insurance. So now that I know, I'm confident on how to answer that. So I think that will help me because there was a little bit of a disconnect there. And because clients are so misled, I kept hearing it so often that, no, I'm good. Even when I retire, I can take this over. And I'm like, okay. So there's a lot of people saying that. So I was just a little confused. And I know there's got to be someone else out there that's thinking the same. So we cleared that up.
They're misled. They're misled. So
it's horrible. And kind of on that note, any other additional tip, tool, or resource that you would not mind sharing with our audience? Maybe someone who's resonating with your story.
The main thing is there's a lot about the insurance industry that's misunderstood. Whether it's some financial guru saying, don't get this type of insurance, get this, or people writing on social media and on the internet saying, hey, don't get this, it's a fraud, it's a scam. It's not a scam at all. Ask all the people that had somebody pass away, and luckily they had a life insurance policy, and it was there to give them money so they could pay for the funeral, or pay for cremation, or pay their rent, or pay their mortgage, pay their phone bill. You could also talk to the people who didn't have life insurance and got left with figuring out how to use a GoFundMe so they could pay for their spouses, their families, funeral. Do your own research is what I would say. Utilize Google. I use Google every day for something. And reach out to people like us, like Jackie and like Sonia, who actually want to take care of you and are not in this game to just make money off of you, because we're not. If that was the case, I wouldn't be doing this, because I genuinely care about people, and I like talking to people. Even if somebody doesn't want to work with me, hey, that's great. But I want you to be educated on this, because that way you'll know what you're getting into. But yeah, there's just so much misconception. So just reach out and use Google, use people like us to, be educated on it. And just do your own research. Don't take one person's word for it and just be turned off on the whole concept of life insurance.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I've again, we've had this conversation about our educational approach, but I've learned, because I've been specifically in life insurance since 2011. If you say no to me, there's always going to be another client. Like, the business is going to come. So you don't need to be shady. You don't need to lie. You don't need to stress or sweat your clients. There's always going to be another client. And also, something to understand is that the relationship is twofold. So I've told this to clients. I need you to trust me just as much as I am trusting that you are who you say you are. You're answering the medical questions, right? You're not trying to off your husband. I mean, there's so much that I am vouching for with my license. My license is on the line. So you've got to trust me just as much as I have to trust you. And not all business is good business. So there may be times where you're telling a customer, hey, you know what, I don't think we're a good fit. So if you have that approach, I think just being ethical, honest, and educational, you're going to be successful, because they're going to be like, dang, this girl seems like she kind of doesn't care if I go somewhere else. Not that you're, doing it in a cocky way or anything, but
Yeah.
you're understanding that I also get to pick and choose you as a client just as much as you can choose me as an agent.
I've had that instance a couple of times where I had to tell people no, like people specifically that wanted IULs, which is great. But either one, they were underfunding it extremely, or they were too old, and it would be kind of pointless because they would have to put in like $1,000 a month in order to for it to build up enough to get some money for retirement. So like, not a lot of people can afford to spend $1,000 a month on life insurance. So yeah, I've told quite a few people before, this is not the product for you. So
yeah, because that's what that agent statement is for, right? You're filling out why you think that client should be in an IUL, and when someone passes away, you've got to fill out the statement that you fill out afterwards. So you're filling that out, right? And you have to go back in your memory, back in your notes, because your license can be up on the line if that claim doesn't get paid out for whatever reason because you were being shady. So I've told clients this as well. Like, if you don't trust me and think that I'm doing something shady, like, I'm not willing to lose my license that I've had since 2011 over any kind of app, even if it's $100 app. It's not worth it, because you'll put me out of business. So
yeah,
that's really good advice.
Yeah, this reputations get around in the insurance industry. So I've heard of quite a few people that were doing really shady work, and we find out. So no, I would not put my name through the burner like that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with social media, you can go viral for the wrong thing overnight so quickly.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Call it cancel culture.
Yeah.
But well, Troy, again, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Troy.
I think
Appreciate
I want to do a morning, I don't know what we'll call it, but a challenge where we're waking up early. So if anybody wants to join me, because I want to be like these guys waking up early, comment, and you guys can comment on Spotify or our Instagram page if you want to join. We'll put some clever hashtag, but if you're needing, they're good motivators is what I'm getting at. So if you're wanting that support system, message us and I'll join you, and I will force myself to get up. I just give myself way too many excuses. Well, I didn't sleep last night. I had back pain. I couldn't.
To be that way, because once you stick to a ritual, what's the saying?
Yeah.
Like after 3 months, it becomes so in your brain, it's so in tune, so you just naturally do it. But I've been getting up early for the past 20 years, so I might as well just keep doing it. So
yeah. Don't they say like it takes 21 days to break a habit, or
something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So join us. Follow. By the way, where can they follow you and connect with you?
Instagram preferably. That's where I start most of my content. It's just Troy Dotson Insurance, all together. I am on Facebook too, but I really just have a business page. I have my own personal page. You can go there too. I think it's just Troy L. Dotson on Facebook, but preferably Instagram. Yeah, I like Instagram the most. Or my phone number's, can I give out my phone number? I don't remember if you said I can. It's area code 915-801-8801. It's a weird number. I know I picked it out intentionally. It is an El Paso-based number. Obviously, I move around a lot. But for anybody that's just wants to be educated or has questions, you can send me a text, give me a call. I'm in a lot of Zoom meetings and stuff like that. So a text is always preferred to begin with at least a name and what's going on. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining and believing us and taking the time. And we had some connection issues the first time around, so I appreciate it. And I've said this before, but thank you both for your service as well.
Thank you,
ma'am. It was a pleasure being here.
Awesome. Thank you.
We appreciate you taking the time.
See you next time, guys.
Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to Women Insurepreneurs. We hope you feel inspired and equipped for your journey in the insurance industry. Subscribe for more empowering conversations and connect with us on Instagram at Women Insurepreneurs. Make sure you join our meetup group so you don't miss any of our events. Until next time, keep shining and pursuing your dreams. Remember, your potential knows no bounds.